Thanks for tuning in to the Silvertrac Extra, your source for the best tips, tricks, and how-tos to dominate the security industry, helping you improve your business, win more contracts, and crush your competition. Here are your hosts, Chris Anderson and Johnny Page.
All right, Silvertrac Nation, welcome to Silvertrac Extra episode number 9. We are rolling right along here, almost to episode number 10. And today we're going to be talking about 3 surefire ways that you can gain the upper hand in the sales process. Let's face it, the security industry is an incredibly competitive industry. You'll want to take a listen to this episode. We're so glad to be sharing this information with you. But first, before we jump in, let's hear from our sponsors over at Paperless Proposal.
If you own a security business, I want to recommend a tool that will give you a big competitive advantage and help you win more clients. This powerful tool is Paperless Proposal software. Paperless Proposal software helps you create impressive business proposals in minutes, and it allows you to easily track and manage all of your proposals. Give your business a big competitive advantage by using Paperless Proposal software. Get a free demo at www.paperlessproposal.com/Silvertrac.
All right, well, it's always great to hear from our sponsors, and now let's get to the meat and potatoes. Today, we're talking about 3 surefire ways to gain the upper hand in the sales process. And Chris, this really starts at the foundation and a technique that you harp on all the time, and that really comes down to finding and honing in on the needs of the property and facility managers, right? I mean, we're talking about bridging the gap between what the property managers and the facility managers need between what the services you offer. If you just come in the door, right, Chris, and we're offering the same thing that everyone else is aiming, and you're just going with your canned response, you sound just like everyone else. So the process really starts when we're trying to find out what motivates them, what drives their performance, and then bridging the gap between what we offer and what really drives them, right?
Yeah, well, the problem is a lot of the guys that are going in, the BDM managers, they're really not familiar with, what the client's job specifications are, right? They're just thinking more of what does our security company offer, and that's what everybody else is doing. And you and I have talked about this several times. You need to understand what your clients. You need to become their partner first of all. So how do you become a partner? You need to understand their job.
Yeah, and so that is the foundation. So we're going to give you 3 surefire ways to gain the upper hand, but it all starts with that. So this is 3 ways that apply across 90% of the contracts and jobs out there. But it starts with this process first. So the discovery process of making sure that you are addressing their specific needs. So Chris, the number 1 way, or the first way I should say, that we can gain the upper hand in the sales process is finding a way to coordinate with the maintenance team. And tell us why that's important and how that's become such a surefire way for the customers that we work with in the industry.
Well, maintenance is the biggest cost for any facility or multi-housing, and I've learned that through the years. I used to think it was security, but in reality, it is one of the biggest costs. So becoming a partner with the maintenance teams, and what I mean by that is that, we're always talking about doing certain things like lighting inspections and ways to do common ground walks that, we can report things, but to become a partner with the facility maintenance or the engineers, what you need to do is you need to sit down with them and you need to ask them, what can we do to help you? Because what happens is most guard companies will bring their people on, and then they have a usual turn or a new employee that comes. And if you have a light out that's broken, or maybe it's let's just for an example use the popular thing, the sprinkler, right, that breaks. You got the guards reporting the same sprinkler being broken every day, right? Now, we think we're doing our job, but in reality, we're really upsetting the maintenance guy because he's getting this report over and over again.
Yeah. And so you can think about there's 2 options here. One, the security officer can go into the field, he can do the discovery walk, and he can report all of those issues, lights out, safety hazards, all that. He can report those to the maintenance or to the to the property manager. The property manager then has to turn around and send those to the maintenance team and has to follow up on that process. The difference is we can save them a lot of time, and we can really differentiate ourselves in the sales process if we coordinate directly with the maintenance team and allow the property manager just to facilitate and oversee the process, not have to be the go-between. So we actually end up saving time doing the same thing, but just channeling our communication somewhere different. So when you walk in the door willing to communicate with the maintenance team and to kind of head up that relationship, you really save them a lot of time, and you look different in the sales process.
Yeah, we want to take her completely out of that. We don't want her to have to filter anything. Now, she's going to want to know about what's going on in the community for what they call fire, flood, blood, the major incidents. We do want to keep her involved, but in reality, if we set up the communication with the maintenance guy, we can actually give him a login where he can log in himself, right? And we can set up the priority. We can set up the issues by priority. So, emergency situations are just routine items. So he can be notified when he needs to be notified, and then schedule a time to do those building walks, right? So, for an example, let's just say that he's got 5 buildings. Building 1. So we'll say for today's purpose, say Gary's a maintenance engineer. What I would do is I'd sit down with Gary and say, Gary, you've got 5 buildings here. What we'd like to do is we'd like to focus our attention on helping you with some of the lighting inspections. Is this something you typically do? And if you do them, Gary, when would you like to have those, or when are you expected to have those reports turned in? And he'll tell you, well, I do them every 2 weeks. We go, great. Well, what if we were able to come in and focus on a particular building, maybe on a Friday night, and we'll have the guy just do the property walks, hallway inspections. And if you could tell me what that bulb is called, we can list that as an issue. And then the guard can write that in his reports, and we'll just give you the sconce bulbs, for an example, in the hallway that are burnt out at building 1 on Friday night. How does that work? And I'll tell you, it works fantastic for them. And if you want, Gary, you can have a login, and the login will take you right into those reports. And if you want to close them, you can. If not, we're not going to do any other further inspections unless it's an emergency until the following week, and that will go into building 2.
Yeah. And this kind of rolls into, you mentioned we want to still notify the property manager when it's fire, flood, blood, or just the issues that are important to them, which goes into point number 2. The second surefire way to gain the upper hand in the sales process is to prioritize the reports. Because again, if we look at example A, typical guard company, you're going to be writing reports, or even if you're typing the reports, it just is a long body of text. So what you're looking at is the property manager comes in and they've just got to scan through this thing because they're not going to take the time to read through. And if you are limiting what's included, you probably have a lot of code 4s, no issues to report, that type of thing in there, which really doesn't deliver value. So what we do, company B, if you'll prioritize the reports, make sure that they're reporting the risk and liability issues, that they are being thorough, even when they're reporting their routine items, but make sure that you prioritize the issues that are important to them so they can come in and in a very brief amount of time, see what's important, and then follow up in the day. Again, another time saver, Chris.
Yeah, you got to be able to set that up in the beginning. So who needs to react to the situation, right? Who's really going to be providing this message to the manager or to the maintenance team? And when do we need to react to that situation? And again, that's all set up into the edit notification and then the description of the hazard that you're reporting. And it all has to be in simple English, right? Break it down, I call in GED terms to where they know what they're getting. You got to be very careful because a drip is different than a flood, right?
Yeah. So. Yeah, and you're just tailoring it for this customer. So if you go in there, again, we're talking about in the sales process. There's going to be the sales side of this and then the operations side. But if you walk in the door saying, hey, how can I help you? These are time-saving methods for your customer that require very little effort internally on your operations guys. You're just tweaking the ways they're doing some of their existing processes, right? Which goes number 3, we have to make sure we're on site, we are coordinating with the maintenance team. Second, we're prioritizing the reports. But Chris, a big part of making sure that we're consistently meeting the needs of the property manager is really conducting successful quarterly reviews. We need to sit down, make sure the communication is open, that the needs are still the same and that we're still addressing them. And a big part of that is sitting down with quality data based on what you've accomplished in the previous quarter.
Right. She doesn't want any surprises. When the manager comes in the morning, which she wants to be able to look at, and I'm not just going to say any manager, I'm going to say a typical client. They don't want to have any surprises in the morning. So if you can set up your issues, you set up your locations, your addresses correctly, and they're well informed. In other words, what are the roles, who's going to take ownership in the issues you're reporting. Once you get that established, in the event of an emergency, it rolls out to who and how many people need to see that message. So again, in the morning, if she comes to her computer, she can either open up her email if she wasn't notified via the emergency notification. Everything's there for her. And then if we can give her the executive reports that she needs to deliver to her executive team or her regional manager at the end of the month and answer all those questions, again, saving time and saving the money. And that's really beneficial to everybody involved.
Yeah, and so you're walking in the door now talking about on a quarterly basis bringing trending information based on what's happened on a day-to-day basis so that you can continue to tailor your services. You're not just going to write one set of post orders and do it once and just set it and forget it, but you're going to be constantly striving to continue to meet their needs because the needs of the property managers are always going to be changing. There's going to be new safety issues that are coming up. I mean, like the external influences on a property are going to be always changing. So you can't just decide that you're going to write the post orders once and make it a set thing. You need to have that quarterly review. Number one, it's great for rapport. Just seeing someone face to face. Try to make this a face-to-face interaction. But when you're in the sales process, you're saying, hey, we coordinate with the maintenance team, we prioritize our reports to help save you time, and then we get together with you on a quarterly basis to make sure that we are always meeting your needs. You're a lot different in the sales process, Chris, and we definitely look better than 90% of the companies that are out there in the security industry.
Yeah, and John, we take pride in, we talk about this every day with our clients as far as the real-time reporting. Our system allows everybody to get involved, correct? Residents, clients, tenants, workers, employees, managers, everybody's involved. Everybody has access to report via their tablet, their phone, or via the internet. And all this data is coming to one central database for everybody to review. So it's just taking that information and delivering it, right, to the people that need to know. Very valuable, really valuable.
And of course, if you want to learn more about Silvertrac, you can visit us over at silvertracsoftware.com. But these are things hopefully that you can take away, whether you are using our software or not, they can be valuable. Try to put these in place. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Johnny Page.
I'm Chris Anderson.
This is the Silvertrac Extra, and we'll see you next time.